Is sponsored.
Hold the Mayo. It's time for Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. Find out what's being served with Mike, Defo and Lubie, the only show that covers food, sports, and the proper maintenance of your car. And now, a man who had the distinction of having an entire health clinic named in his honor, Mike Mayo.
I want the flim sauce with the awesome bay, with shafafa on the side.
Good afternoon and happy Monday, everybody, and welcome to another week of Mike Mayo's Lunchbox, coming to you on the streaming channels of the South Florida Live Network, simulcast on the mighty and sometimes, I don't know, ridiculous Let's Eat South Florida Facebook group. We'll have discussions about that in a minute, but boy, oh boy, what a weekend that was. And I'm still coming down. I tell you what, it's a little bit of a kind of endorphin letdown today. I had to take a couple of Advil. I don't know if it was the alcohol or all just the adrenaline pumping all weekend, but lo and behold, Jeff DeForest, look what happens. I think pretty much everybody that I know, except for Lubie, we all had great Derby weekends, and then what happens? They want to abolish the sport. So go figure.
Very tough, that whole argument. Look, as a person that loves my two dogs, and I've had animals in the past, I understand, the whole argument coming from the inhumane treatment of animal side. I've been around the game forever, like you have, for a long, long time. I've been, working on the backstretch, got to know a lot of people all over the country in horse racing. And my general conclusion was that they absolutely love these animals. And the last thing in the world that they would want to see is any kind of harm coming to any of them. But, it is what it is. I mean, it's like me being a boxing fan or people that are football fans, and you see the debilitating impact of this on even guys that you've gotten to become friendly with. And, can you condone it in the name of entertainment, especially, and Libby and I have talked about this, when the animals are not making a conscious decision to be participants in the sport. Right. So there's merit to that. At the same time, look how scientific they are in the breeding industry. And, you can't imagine that somebody that has a horse that's in contention for the Kentucky Derby is looking, to do anything but take the greatest of care of this animal, as valuable as they are. So, two sides to it, a very tough argument. And that was a wild week of action preceding and leading right up to the race itself, the Kentucky Derby, which, once again was a glorious event if you're looking at spectacle and entertainment and excitement. And we all made a lot of money on it, which is what the Derby should be all about.
That's the good part. The not so good part, and what Defoe's alluding to is, again, we had this kind of string of tragedy, both on the week leading up to the Derby and also on the day of the Derby, where we've had, and it actually started even before the focus was on Churchill Downs, but there was a spate of breakdowns and horse deaths in Maryland at Laurel Racetrack, and now. That's not the same track as the Pimlico, where the Preakness is going to be held in a couple of weeks. But they actually had to suspend racing altogether in Maryland for a few days while they were figuring out if there was something wrong with the racetrack itself, the condition of the oval, the dirt. And then we had, the bizarre spectacle of a couple of horses having heart attacks and just basically dropping dead after workouts. Safi Joseph, a local trainer here in South Florida, who's been very successful. Two of his horses died in that manner. And I guess out of abundance of caution, the Kentucky Racing Commission, I don't know if they suspended him, but they scratched all his horses.
They did suspend him, yes.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know under what basis. I mean, is there any kind of proof of any kind of untoward behavior or any kind of illegal illicit substances? I don't know, but I guess, for the time being, he can't race his horses in Kentucky, and they scratched all his horses from the Derby card, including he had a Derby hopeful, the winner of the Wood Memorial, Lord Miles. And then, of course, we had a spate of scratches from the Derby itself with horses that had various maladies and were ordered out, including the big race favorite, the horse that I love, the Florida Derby champion, 2-year-old champion, Forte. on the morning of the race, declared out. I'm still a little unclear when he bruised his hoof. They said he might have stepped on a rock or a pebble on Wednesday. A couple of the Sharpies and the clockers noticed that his Thursday gallop, he took an awkward step. And again, the Pletcher bond, Todd Pletcher and Mike Rapoli, the owners, said that they were in touch with the vets and the racing officials, and they were monitoring him. And then it came up that Derby morning when the vet was doing a final once over, the horse winced when they were running a finger and hand over a certain part of the hoof. And again, out of an abundance of caution, they scratched Forte out of the race. Only had a field of 18, and originally there were 23 entrants, including 3 also eligibles. All 3 of those got in after the 5 scratches. And not only that, then the not so good cherry on top of the cake, 2 more horses on Derby Day on the Derby undercard had fatal breakdowns, that they had to be vanned off the track or broke down on the track and were euthanized, which is the kind word of saying being basically, put down. And because the nature of horse injuries is that if it's on a certain part of the leg, they can't recover. They can't do surgeries. The horse always puts weight on it, and they consider that the most humane, I don't know if that's the term, outcome is to just euthanize the horse and basically kill it. So now we have a lot of people in the country saying, what is going on with horse racing? And as you say, it's not like football players or boxers that are, adult human beings that make a conscious choice. These are animals who are bred and born, and they love to do it. And everybody around the game says this is what they're born to do, and they're happiest when they're out, in training and running. A lot of them are also happy running around in a field. But then we get to these big existential questions, Defo, which is if you abolish the sport, you lose all these jobs, an entire industry, the entire breeding industry. Of course, it's big business and dollars, but then these horses, there's, I think, 14,000 thoroughbreds born in North America every year. But all these racehorses in this country, anyway, would just not be bred. They wouldn't exist. They would cease to be. They would never be in the beginning. So is it better to have a whole industry and a whole bunch of horses that bring people joy and also bring business and commerce to a lot of different states? Or do you eradicate it all because a small, tiny fraction of a percentage of them meet some untimely demises? So I don't know. I don't know what the answer to the question is, but that's how I'm going to frame it.
I don't know that that question will ever be answered. I don't see the abolition of the sport coming about. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, you would always like to see, and it seems like there are.
Look what happened to dog racing. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I mean, you say you don't see the abolition. Did you see 30 years ago that there would be no more greyhound racing?
Possible. I mean, it wasn't as strong as of an industry. If you look at it, I remember I've told Lubie this story. One of my third grade projects was to write a paper. We actually had pretty good public schools in New York. I went to PS20. Third grade, we had to, write some kind of a research paper about some issue that was controversial. And I remember writing a paper about the possibility of the abolition of boxing. There had been a bunch of boxing deaths around that period of time. And, there was a big push on in congressional circles and places where something might have actually happened to abolish the sport. And here we are years later. And what was the biggest event or one of the biggest events, on the sporting calendar a couple of weeks ago was a pay-per-view fight with a couple of lightweight contenders. So, yeah, it's still here. It's strong. I don't see, the industry going away. You would always like to see them, showing signs that they are moving towards, taking more and more precautions for safety. But I'm not sure, just like in football, you're not going to legislate those kind of things, the debilitating injuries out of the sport. It's almost impossible to do. With every safety precaution being taken, possibly, you're still going to have these kind of incidents, which is unfortunate. It's a nature, a byproduct of the sport. And the philosophical question is it humane to, force animals to participate in something that they don't have a conscious choice in making and, risking their lives in the process?
But is it humane to take babies, infants who don't have conscious choice, to strap them into a child car seat and take them on I-95 because there's risk involved with that? And
But this is for entertainment and business. This is, you could take this into all kinds of absurd circles. I mean, and stretch it out, compare it to mass shootings and things like that. It's an essential question. Look, I'm a fan of the sport. I love the Derby. I couldn't have been any more excited that it was coming up. It's a great puzzle. It's a fantastic sporting event. Tremendous. I mean, look at the city of Louisville. I think half their economy is based around them and Papa John's pizza. But
Well, I know, well, I don't know about the
but
Papa
other than
John's
that,
pizza, but yeah, horses.
yeah, I mean, it's one of the biggest
Derby
things,
weekend
and
is
it's a
huge.
great thing to attend.
And just here we are. We've got this glorious playoff runs unfolding in South Florida. Both of us hit big in the Derby, and we started on this dark note, and it's kind of sad. But we do have on the line, I guess, a guy who does like to hit the dark notes or examine the big issues and the broader implications of sports. Our friend, my former colleague, Dave Hyde, is on the line, and I guess I wanted to start by talking about Panthers and the shocking nature of their run, the Heat, and what they've been able to do. But we're going to start with what we started with today, is just kind of horse racing and the gray cloud hanging over it. Not the one that used to be over Calder all the time when Calder was still a thing.
Lightning Rod Cap Day, still my favorite promotion ever.
But
you got a little beanie with a lightning rod sticking out of it. And 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you could electrocute yourself if you so
right next
chose.
to the Marlins games, right
If it
next
was
to
going
the
bad. Yes.
Joe Robbie Stadium. Dave Hyde, how are you today?
I can't believe this. I'm covering win after win in this surprising spring, and you're bringing me on to talk about dead horses.
That's Mayo. That's Mayo. Yeah.
All right, enough of the dead horses. Let's start with. All right, well then I'm going to go in another direction right from the get-go. I think we had Dave Hyde on about not even 4 weeks ago, before the playoffs began. And here we got Jeff Defo DeForest. I don't remind everybody about his age, but decades of experience watching the local sports scene. You have me, former sports writer, but longtime Florida resident, and decades watching the local teams. And you have Dave Hyde, the actual active expert, writing these great prescient columns all the time. And I believe the words you used about the Miami Heat was, "We'll be lucky to win one game against the Milwaukee Bucks." We were in agreement. So how foolish are we all now, and how foolish is this whole prognostication game, Dave Hyde?
Well, we didn't call this. We didn't. One game. I was talking Milwaukee would be lucky enough to win one game.
Oh,
they did.
I have to listen back to the tape.
Look, you go back to the Final Four with FAU and the University of Miami, and this has been a remarkable run of surprise in South Florida. I mean, we lead the country in sports surprises right now because these are 2 8 seeds, and okay, the NBA regular season doesn't mean as much as it maybe did a few years back, and Giannis got hurt for Milwaukee, but nobody saw this coming from the Heat, and ditto and underline for the Panthers. And so for the Panthers to be up 3-0 and one win away from the Eastern Conference Finals is nothing short of stunning. And the surprise is a fun part of sports, right? This is it's a blast to watch these teams play right now.
Now, Dave, you said, going into the Final Four, you had not seen, I think, FAU or even UM play one game in person. Have you seen the Panthers play one game in person before this series? I mean, not to rag on the Sentinels.
I saw them a couple times this year, and been out to a few practices.
Does the Sentinel have a beat writer yet for the team that's going to go to the Stanley Cup?
I'm the beat writer. Yeah, I'm the one. I'm holding down. I'm the bureau. So
and you're going to have to hitchhike to Toronto too, or wherever the next stop is, Carolina. Oh man, no, not to rag on you, but no, this is an incredible run. But both you and I don't know if Defo was necessarily on board, but before the playoffs began, we saw a hint of. I thought something was possible that they would give the Bruins a series. I don't know if I saw them winning 3 straight, down 3-1 to the Bruins, and now being 3-0 to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Nobody did. I guess the question is, given this franchise's history, is it possible for them to lose 4 in a row and actually turn it back into the Panthers that we all know and not love so much?
Yeah. I mean, is it possible? Yes. Probable the way they're playing. No. I mean, and the way Toronto's playing, no. This is a much different series than the Boston. Boston was like in a gutter. Every line, it seemed like there was a fight ready to break out. And this is just, it almost didn't look like playoff hockey last night from the sense of the lack of physicality. I think there's a lot of Panthers who like to play that way. Kachuk and Bennett and a few others can go down in the gutter and with Boston as they did. But I think there was a lot of skating last night, and not much, not much stuff after plays or the Toronto played up Bennett's cross check the previous game. But that's about it as far as the crazy stuff we saw in the Boston series. So no, I don't think the Panthers can lose 4 straight games, except for there is a random quality in hockey that doesn't exist in other sports. The first shot from Austin Matthews yesterday hits the crossbar. They hit the crossbar the previous game. If those shots from Toronto are an inch lower, then so much changes. So there is a random quality of hockey that you don't see in the other sports.
We're such masters here, our sports franchises of public relations, as witnessed by Stephen Ross on numerous incidents. And in this case, the Florida Panthers organization makes it public that they don't want to sell any tickets to people that don't have a U.S. residency. So if you were a hockey fan and you happen to be in South Florida 6 months a year and your residency was in Canada, they didn't want to sell you a ticket. What did you think about that policy? I mean, did it not shade a little bit of this incredible run that the Panthers are on? And did it work? We talked to a friend of ours, Brett Tessler, earlier this morning. He's been a season ticket holder for a while. He was at the game, and he said that there was a major share of Toronto fans in the crowd. What did you think of all of that? Was it really necessary to make that a public policy on the part of the Panthers?
Get those Canadians out of here. Huh?
We know we want to send them all back. I mean, whenever you see the Quebec plates and there's a guy in front of you going 12 miles an hour in the left lane on 95, but
I don't blame the Panthers for trying. They put it on. I think it was for 24 hours. And if I understand what happened right, they jacked up the rates, knowing that the Canadians were coming to buy them. So they're profiteering off Ontario. So I'm all for that. A little xenophobia is all good. Look, we're used to this in South Florida. We're used to this at all our sports, aren't we? The Knicks. There's Knicks fans at the Heat game. There were Bruin fans chanting "Let's go Bruins." There's Leafs fans with that ridiculous "See Dick Run" chant of "Go Leafs Go," and by now it's just part of the atmosphere down here. You go and you breathe in the air, and there's going to be fans from the other team, no matter what sport you go to.
So why did the Panthers brass let it bother them, or were they just looking for some headlines and a fight, international?
Look. If you're the Panthers, what are you trying to do here? If you're in the business end of this, you're trying to, for once, you have a product you can build with. So what you want to do is you want your fans in the arena, not just for the atmosphere, but you're trying to build something. And so you want fans to come in and enjoy a playoff atmosphere and hope it carries over into next year with ticket sales and everything, because God knows they need that, right? And so I get it from a marketing or selling the team standpoint. But it was like for 24 hours. It wasn't like it went, anything beyond that. And let's face it, if it was Jets, we're going to keep New Yorkers out from buying. Everybody, get rid of the Jets fans. but because it's the nice Canadians, all those poor guys. And you do feel a little sorry for Toronto because they take this so seriously. This is they are so serious about their hockey. It's like infused in their soul. And you look in the city, the market there, or the where they have thousands of fans watching the game. I mean, those poor people, they're down 3-0. I feel for them in a way, don't you?
No.
Not a bit, no.
Not at all. Not even a little.
I hope they lose in 4. I really do. That would be great. Poor slobs. It's unfortunate. Now, were we unfair in characterizing Paul Maurice as the French Joe Philbin earlier in the year? During most of the regular season, he rarely said anything. It didn't seem like he was doing anything. It didn't seem like he reacted at all. And now we find out he's like the coolest guy on the planet. So did we mischaracterize the Panthers coach who has now got them on this beautiful Cinderella run?
Well, I think you answered your own question. Actually, the few times I was out at Panthers this year, he was great. He's great.
Yeah, he's very fascinating. Yes.
I think of these things selfishly. He's great to talk to. He's a great quote. He's interesting. And so when you say Joe Philbin, there is no comparison to Joe Philbin.
Yeah.
None of
I think we were misguided in that one. Yeah.
Hey, let's turn to the Heat.
What did he call? What did he call when somebody got hit in the groin area, and he called it a injury of testicular something? That was a phrase I'd never heard before.
Testicular distress. I didn't hear that. I usually pay attention to those kinds of terms of phrase.
Sounds like Mike Mayock making up.
Exactly.
Mike Mayo, Mike Mayock. He's the football analyst, not me. I would be talking about the internal organs that can be cooked and eaten. Joanne, I'm sorry. Today we're going to be talking sports. We're talking to sports columnist Dave Hyde. We're riding this unbelievable spring wave. Even Pat Utter at Shenanigans doesn't want to talk about his food. He's talking about his sports and this unbelievable run of the Heat and the Panthers. Again, Heat knock off the number 1 seeded Milwaukee Bucks in the first round, and the Panthers knock off the number 1 seeded NHL regular season record-breaking Boston Bruins in the first round in dramatic fashion, Game 7 overtime. And now here they are just rolling over the Toronto Maple Leafs, who haven't won it all since 1967. And Dave Hyde is here to break it all down. And believe me, we've tried asking Hyde about food and his favorite new restaurants, and all I get is like, oh, there's a place that has a hot dog and maybe a Budweiser.
I like a good burger and a beer. It's like, okay, Dave.
Yeah, you got the wrong guy. You're here for gourmet food. You know, I can be the guy you love matzo balls at and laugh at. You know, that's my role here. That's
what we do with Mayo, to be brutally honest, and he actually does it with his own hands.
Yeah.
I do want to turn the tide to the Heat because it's funny. Mayo's right. Going into these playoffs, and we've talked with you here and on our show, there was a sense that the Panthers were playing playoff hockey. Like all these other teams sort of coasting. The Panthers needed to win to get in, and they were. They went on a really good run. And they were playing a Boston Bruins team that they had played well. That was not the case with the Heat. The Heat literally, by definition, limped in, lost. We're the first play-in team to lose as a 7th seed. Then we're down with like 3 minutes left versus a Bulls team that was battered and bruised. Fast forward a month later, or 3 weeks, I think it's 3 weeks later, the Heat are playing as well right now, as injured as anyone in the playoffs. Maybe you didn't forecast any of this, Dave, but what are you taking from this Heat run? As right now, if you look at the playoffs, they have as good a chance as anyone to go as far as anyone.
I'm taking that as little as I thought of an NBA regular season before I even think about it. No. And
meaningless.
That's a serious problem for the NBA coming up.
It is.
You know, because who's going to pay any attention to it from now on? I mean, look at the Heat. They were last. Well, they led the league a year ago in 3-point shooting. They were either last or in the last couple teams this year. And first series against Milwaukee, they came out, and I believe they shot 45% on threes. I mean, it was none of it made any sense. If you try to extrapolate anything from the regular season into the postseason, and that includes playoff Jimmy, who's a superhero. He's doing things no Heat player has ever done. And part of it, not LeBron, not Wade, not Bosch, not Zoe, not Hardaway. He's demanded to do that for the Heat to win. The big three had each other. You know, each of them didn't have to have a great game every single game. But I mean, you go back to the NBA Finals a few years ago in the bubble. Butler led the team in scoring 5 straight games, and then he was exhausted, and they lost in 6. He led the team. I think now it is 8 out of the past 11 playoff games in this run. Last year, and now he's leading them again this year. Every playoff game he has over 25 points this year, and so maybe we should have seen playoff Jimmy coming because he's done this, but to see the whole team coming, that's a shock with the Heat.
Yeah, the whole thing is, you know what? It's just wonderful. I mean, let's just enjoy it because these things don't happen too often. And to have a year like this, where after that completely bizarre NCAA tournament, where you get 2 of the local college basketball teams, UM and FAU, into the Final Four, of course, this region, a hotbed of college basketball activity. I mean, that was just crazy. And now you've got 2 teams who just slumbered and lumbered through the regular season that look poised to make deep runs. I mean, we've got the Panthers are 1 game away from the conference finals. At this point, even I will not bet against them. I think they will somehow find a way to close out. They have the look of a team of destiny right now. And then you've got the Heat that look poised. Look, this could still be a dogfight in a 7 series if they lose tonight. But what do you think there, Hyde? Do you think this one is that they do have killer instinct, that Jimmy Butler will kind of put the foot down on the throats of the Knicks and not let them get that equalizer?
I haven't seen the Knicks impress me in 3 games, really. I mean, the 1 game they won was Butler was out, and they almost lost that one. So, as well as the Heat are playing and finding moments and little stretches from a lot of different players, I'm not impressed with the Knicks. So maybe they have a good game in them that we haven't seen come out yet. But no, I think this is the Heat series to win. And then it gets a little rougher. If Boston comes out of there, Boston or Philadelphia.
1 game at a time, Dave. Let's not look ahead.
But we're looking. I mean, you're looking at. We're talking about the Heat and the Panthers going to the Eastern Conference Finals. When I was expecting about the middle of April to be looking around for other columns to write, and I'll be writing about them till the end of May. So it's shocking to me. The only real. I mean, the Marlins were surprises when they made their runs. Certainly in 2003, they were surprised. Not so much in '97. The Panthers in '96 were a shock. But those are the type of runs you have to compare this to if each of them gets to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Hey, Dave, so I saw some rats hitting the ice after the victory last night in overtime. That was a great goal, by the way. Do you think the rat tradition should die or be brought back? Do you like seeing rats coming raining down again on the sheet of ice?
Well, obviously, you haven't watched a lot of Panther hockey, Mike, because it's been going on for years and years.
Okay, well, it shows you what I know.
I did write maybe a decade ago. All right, enough with the rats. That was a singular, part of that '96 thing. And oh my God, so many. I would say I was inundated with Panther fans writing, but you're really not inundated by Panthers fans writing. But many did write saying that they love the rats. And they're going to keep. So, it's been around for a while, and I still remember walking in my old Miami arena, and people were outside the arena selling plastic rats for like $10, And
I was there.
Good old American capitalism to make a buck off anything, and I'm sure it'll be the same thing coming up if the Panthers keep going.
Yeah, it's good to see. Hey, one of those sports you thought you were going to be covering was the Miami Grand Prix. I didn't look at the paper. Were you out there? Did you even watch it? Or obviously you were kind of tied up with the Panthers, right?
Yeah, no, I was with the Panthers. The only glimpse of it I saw was on ESPN this morning or last night, late last night. That's about it, though. I know nothing about the sport. I can't add anything to it. So in a way, that they were probably happy somebody of my complete ignorance didn't walk out there and you know, it's the strangest sport to me. It has 20 drivers. That's it, 20 drivers, and 10 teams, 20 drivers. And
can you tell me who won yesterday? Because I have no idea.
Yeah, Max Verstappen.
Oh, Verstappen.
I don't call in and say, yeah. He moved up from 9th place to 1st, which is unheard of in Grand Prix racing. And then I've just emptied my whole knowledge.
There it is. Yeah.
You for knowing that.
Holy Al Unser, man. You summed it all up.
Team Red Bull, I think, right? Did I get that part right? I'm just guessing.
It's such a difficult sport to. So Logan Sargent's from Lighthouse Point. He's one of the 20 Formula One drivers. This guy from Lighthouse Point.
Oh, wow.
He moved to England when he was, I don't know, young, and for the sole idea of becoming a driver. And he's in his early 20s now, so I think he moved, 10, 12, I don't know. And that was my point. So I emailed his PR guy in March, hey, I'm Logan Sargent's hometown paper and like to do a big story on him and da-da-da-da. Never got any second at all with Logan Sargent over 2 months.
Who are you?
So I'm like, who are you? What is it? Sun Sentinel? I don't think so. I'm not blaming them. All I'm saying is, look, if we can't do even that, it is like the most guarded sport in the world, as far as getting any access to.
I know, it's like they're global rock stars and they are in these little bubbles. Yeah. And I don't like the track around a football stadium. I liked it better when it's on the streets of Miami. But enough of that. How about some local guys that will still talk to the local press? I mean, I'm talking about big weekends up in Kentucky for homegrown jockey Tyler Gaffleone. He won the Kentucky Oaks above Pretty Mischievous. And then you've got the hometown trainer and I guess ownership connection by way of Venezuela, but they won the Kentucky Derby. The gang that is behind Mage is Gustavo Delgado. He's based down here much of the year. What'd you think of the whole, Derby, the triumph part, not the tragedy?
Yeah, I saw the trainer was wearing a UM jersey too at one point last week, and then put out on social media "Go Canes" or something to that effect. And look, I guess it all just flows into we're hot right now, right? The market's hot, so get me to summer writing columns about good things. And my philosophy is good news sells, and for the past 20 years we've had either losing or mediocre teams other than the Heat, and I'm like, man, first of all, it's not a great sports market to begin with, and you put in this, and it's a harder place to write a column in. But you get winning teams. People want to read about winning teams, and that's good for business. So I'm glad teams are winning here.
Yeah. And I'm glad that, again, the Mage was a horse based here at Gulfstream all winter long. He runs second to Forte in the two big preps, the Florida Derby and the race before that, the Fountain of Youth. And you figure if Forte is the monster that we think he is, then Mage should be pretty darn good himself. And that was the thinking I used. I don't know. Did you play the Derby at all, Dave, or you just kind of watching it on the sidelines?
I did not play the Derby. But I was curious if Forte is Vinny Viola's horse, right?
Yes, he's a co-owner with. Yeah,
he won because it would again play into. I'm looking at column angles, not dollars. Okay, and I'm thinking, okay, that'd be a good. Panthers winning, Viola's winning, everybody's winning down here. We cannot lose. And then he goes out with a bruised
hoof
or bruised
paw, a hoof. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, the Goodfellas line. But I think it was because the gambling gods took revenge on him, trying to be a xenophobe and keep those nice, polite Canadians out of his business.
You guys made money. That's the most important
Exactly.
thing.
It is. And I said that we made money and now they want to just get rid of the whole sport. They said that's not allowed. Defo and Mayo can't both have big schools
Exactly.
on a
Both went
big
big.
race. We have to do something about it. All right, Dave, I've taken enough of your time today. Anything else, gentlemen, before we let Hyde go off to, watch all this great playoff action?
I'm ready to talk food. We have lots of questions about food in the chat. So, Dave, appreciate your time, and we will talk to him, sure, in our morning.
Yeah, I'm just impressed. This is the first time I think they've done this where Mayo doesn't have his mouth full of food while he's talking. I thought it's the most fascinating show ever. A guy talking with his mouth full.
They love it. The people love it. I really, I'm astonished myself. But our numbers go up anytime I make a fool and a mess of myself. So that's it.
All right, Dave. We'll talk soon.
All right,
Thanks.
I'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Dave. Hey, we got a lot of business to attend to, including the contest winner. It was a very impressive thing. But before we do that, and before we start talking about my food adventures over the weekend, and they were plentiful, we got to talk about our friends at Tropical Acres Steakhouse and Butcher Shop. It's a great place to celebrate Mother's Day this weekend coming up. If you give them a call, you might still be able to sneak in a reservation. They're going to be open from 1 to 8 p.m. I know everybody's still looking for a spot to bring mom. Again, their number is 954-989-2500, 954-989-2500 for all their greatest hits. They have a nice holiday menu. They have the great special prime rib going for Mother's Day, along with seafood and steaks and their usual assortment of fine quality steakhouse and American cuisine. Tropical Acres has been doing it a long time, since 1949. The Studiali family, they know how to take great care of you. So again, whether it's Mother's Day or any day, including tonight when it's half price wine night, Mondays and Tuesdays, 50% off all those good bottles of grape juice. You want to get in there. And of course, happy hour in the bar from 4:30 to 6:30. Have half price drinks along with great light bites. You know them. You love them. Tropical Acres, 2500 Griffin Road, just west of the airport in I-95. Me, Lubie, and Defo have to get in there soon.
Yes.
I guess we'll do it to celebrate the Panthers in the Stanley Cup if we see that. But that's it. Tropical Acres, great place to go. They'll take great care of you. Tell them the Lunchbox sent you.
Hopefully, this playoff run will stimulate a lot of business in the local restaurants and bars. So I don't know that I've seen that completely kick in yet, but Tropical Acres would be a great place to be anytime if you're having a celebration or any kind of occasion where you wanted to do something special. Always great, Tropical Acres. Right, more to come. Mike Mayo's Lunchbox in a moment.
Beach Cafe. It's a South Florida landmark, and it's one happy restaurant right on the water. Tables literally on the beach. A place where you could dip your toes in the sand, kick back, relax with island vibes, tropical drinks, and live music daily. You know it. It's at One Commercial Boulevard in Lauderdale by the Sea. And of course, it has Chef Chris Nealon and his famed Caribbean Floridian cuisine. With a huge menu with something for everyone. Seafood, raw bar, conch fritters, burgers, sandwiches, salads, deli specials, and of course, that famous Bimini bread. They've got a great staff that'll take great care of you. There's something to celebrate every day. Open 7 days until late. Parking available on site. Happy hour weekdays 4 to 7 p.m. Go check out more at arubabeachcafe.com. Better yet, go in there yourself at Aruba Beach Cafe. Good food, drinks, friends, and laughter are always the catch of the day. When people come to me and say, Mike, where should I go out to eat? I got guests coming from out of town. Where should we go? Cafe Seville. That's the answer. 2768 East Oakland Park Boulevard. It's a Fort Lauderdale perennial, serving the finest in Spanish and continental cuisine in a cozy, friendly, comfortable setting. Joey Esposito and Sally, his better half, they've been running the place for a long time. It's been open since the 1980s. They got great Spanish classics like paella, shrimp with garlic sauce, and all kinds of great seafood dishes. The stuffed veal chop, that's my favorite. Go to Cafe Seville. It's open every day but Sunday at 5 p.m. for dinner. Tell them that the Lunchbox Mayo and Defo sent you. Do you like burgers? Do you like wings? Do you like late night food and sports on big screen TVs and cold beer and friendly vibe and great people? Then you want to check out Shenanigans, 1300 South Federal Highway in Dania Beach. Go to Shenanigans, you get yourself all the good stuff, the fresh fish every day, the black and grilled wings, and of course, the kitchens are open late. Go there, tell them that the Lunchbox Mayo and Defo sent you. Mayo here for Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market. Since 1951, family owned for over 70 years, the home of freshness. I've been a customer for over 3 decades, and it's the place to go for poultry, steaks, meats, and of course, their unbelievable selection of fish and seafood. They've got it all: Key West pink shrimp, grouper, snapper, lobster, and of course, Florida stone crab claws of all sizes. Don't forget their famous fish dip and a full selection of prepared foods. It's located at 4191 North State Road 7 in Hollywood, just across from the Seminole Classic Casino. Owner Doug Carter and crew will take great care of you. Make sure to check out their weekly specials and daily catch online at DelawareChicken.com. Quality, value, freshness, that's the Delaware way. Tell them Mike Mayo and the Lunchbox sent you. Do you like pizza? Who doesn't like pizza? Well, my spot for pizza is the Pizza Spot. It's in that little bit hard to find Riverside Park neighborhood of Fort Lauderdale, but it's totally easy to love. It's at 601 Southwest 12th Avenue, New Haven style, a pizza from Wade and Reese. It's a lovely outdoor spot. You could also pick up pies to go at 754-779-7788, 754-779-7788. Again, they're open every day but Monday for lunch and dinner. Some of the best pizza I've ever had. Go to Pizza Spot. They also have subs, salads, and more. Tell them the Gambling Gourmet sent you. If you like seafood in a comfortable setting, outdoors, even keel fish shack at the corner of A1A and Commercial Boulevard in Lauderdale by the Sea, that's my spot. It's upscale food in a down-home setting. The chef owners, Dave and Brad, do a terrific job with all the seafood classics that you want. They have the best grilled oysters in town, bang bang shrimp, lobster rolls, and deli fish specials. They also have weekend brunch Saturday and Sunday. They have deli happy hour 4 to 7, and they also have other weekly specials like mussels on Monday and oysters on Tuesday. Go to Even Keel Fish Shack and tell them that the Lunchbox sent you. Welcome back to the Lunchbox. We're heavy on the sports because, let's face it, it's not every day that you have both local teams in basketball and hockey making great playoff runs, looking good doing it. And again, I think if you look around the whole nation or continent, you'll see there is no other city or region that has both a basketball team and a hockey team still alive. Actually, I apologize. No city, I guess, but the region, New Jersey and the Knicks. So I don't know. I guess that whole thing is out the window.
The only state. I said that last week.
The only state. Thank you. All right. So people are upset because I'm not stuffing my face. But in honor of the Derby, do you see what I have here, Jeff Defo the Forest?
I don't know that I can make that out. What do you got, a mint julep going?
No, not the mint julep, the world's worst drink known to man.
A couple of cashews?
This is in honor of horse racing and the Derby and jockey Lafitte Pinkai. I figured, just like him, I would split a cashew in half, like he used to do on his cross-country plane rides when he was going from the West Coast to the East Coast.
That's how the legend goes. I don't know if he actually did it.
Oh, Dave Josephs apparently witnessed this one time on a flight.
Yeah.
So maybe that's how it started. I don't know if that's
I want to believe the story. I believe the story.
He said that Lafitte Pinkai, one of the great jockeys of all time, who always struggled to maintain his weight, that you have to be under 115 pounds or thereabouts to ride the top thoroughbreds.
I think 117 was the Pirate. Consistently 117.
Okay. And that he struggled with that, so that in order to maintain that weight, when he would fly across country, instead of having the airline food, he would bring out a single cashew, split it in half.
I think it was a peanut.
It might have been a peanut. I've upgraded because I'm the food guy. I would.
You have to go high end. You wouldn't be eating something as pedestrian as a peanut on the show.
I go cashew, so because that's how I roll.
All right, so you're going to have this half today and then half tomorrow, and that's
I'm going to have half now and then half after the second break. I think that's nothing of accommodation, and hopefully we'll quiet down the crowd that just can't stand the sports talk. I mean,
Joanne is really upset with you, Mike.
And I'm surprised because Joanne, I think she's a horse player. She keeps entering the contest every week, and she's been in that hat a bunch of times. She's pretty good.
She's very good at identifying restaurants and winning horses. Which is great.
Well, here's the thing. We had something astounding this week, and I'm going to get into, Derby Day. I had a blast. Necky Mohan and my her beau and my friend Willie, who poker guy. We all met at Christine Lee's. Lubie was a late scratch, but that's okay. and we just had a blast there. And again, Christine Lee's right next to the track. You can
It
see the
helps when you're
horses.
winning, though.
Yeah, it does. I was cashing tickets all
If
day.
you lost your fanny and then had to pay the check at Christine Lee's for an all-day sit-in there, which you treated it like it was some Asian buffet, and eventually did they come and give you the time limit? I mean, I know you're very
No,
popular
no
there.
time
No?
limit. Again, they just knew that people were in there all day to play. And again, I didn't get in there till 4 o'clock. We did the late
Oh,
shift
okay, all right. Well,
because
that's good.
instead of being there from noon to forever, because the Derby didn't go off till 7 p.m., I figured we'd come in rolling at 4 o'clock, play the late races, have some appetizers, have some drinks, have some more food. And sure enough, that's what we did. And I kept cashing tickets all day. There's no better feeling when you just keep rolling along
Constant,
and playing
yes.
with house money. We had a blast. And lo and behold, who was over at the next table? A big crew, including our friends, the Marx brothers from Grandpa's
Oh,
Bagel
nice.
Bakery.
Very
The
nice.
Fried and Goldberg were both there with a
Oh,
group.
they weren't even with you? Oh, they were just there.
They were just there with their own separate contingent. And when Fried saw me, he kind of recoiled in horror. No, he was asking me about my opinions, and it was great. They had a nice time and a good crew. And yeah, so a lot of people enjoying themselves. And I had Christine Lee's on Saturday with the Derby. Yesterday, I took my daughter to Kaizen, the sushi place that is celebrating its 4th anniversary already. I can't
Oh,
believe
how
it.
stuff.
My friend Kui. And I'm saying that it's in honor of, this is Asian American Pacific Islander month, and in honor of all the great Asian cuisine and Asian Americans, Pacific Islanders that are big contributors to the local food scene. I figure this is a good time to go around. I need an excuse to eat Chinese food and sushi, but so that was my little tie-in for the food month. You see, I brought it back to food, folks, but now we're going back to horses for a second. Indulge me because
The place that finally hit me was called Bon Gusto before, the Italian
I had it
restaurant.
on my
Yeah.
sheet. I was going
Yeah.
to tell you, Bon Gusto is the correct
I've
answer.
been there many, many times. It was a very popular joint
Yeah.
in that area. There were not as many restaurant choices in the area, but by any means at the stage where they were very popular. But no, it was good. Well respected. What happened? Did they just sell out and go, on to something else?
No, Bon Gusto. It's like what happens. It's the course of life, and in restaurants, people get older. They just want to retire, and
Yeah.
they sold that spot and moved along. For a while, I think it was another Italian place, and then that went out, and then the lease is up, and then the leaseholder ended
It
up.
might have been a Mexican place for a brief period of time.
Well,
Is
there's
that
a
possible?
Colombian
Yeah,
place, next door that just closed down, and the now the whole plaza has been bought, and it was now
Oh, yeah,
up for
wow.
sale again. But no, Kui and Kaizen are in there. They have a
They're good?
long-term
Okay.
lease, and his lease is still in force, even though there's been different ownership changes of the whole plaza itself. But the place next to it, which was a Colombian restaurant, is no more. I believe they got older and retired. He owned the plaza and sold it to another real estate guy, and that's the nature of things in South Florida. So Bon Gusto is no more, but I'm very thankful that Hui and his fiancee Chow came down from the Massachusetts area, where Chow's family runs several restaurants, and they came down here and opened up Kaizen, and it's been a big success. And I had a great meal last night. But it is time to talk about our 10 Palms Gulfstream contest. And Joe had an eventful weekend, and they got through the Derby. He said, what? It was like 1,100, they have a 1,400 seat capacity, and 1,100 people in there. And he said it could be a little challenging. They got a 1-star review from one guy on Open Table for Derby Saturday because he was a party of 2, and he couldn't get a TV at his table because they only come out with TVs for the bigger tables. So the guy gave him 1 star. He said that Joe said that he tried to give him an accommodation that he could give him an outside seat with a TV, and the guy said it's too hot. I don't want to sit outside. So what does the guy do? Gives him a 1-star review. You can't please all the people all the time. And it's like, Derby Day at a racetrack restaurant is like New Year's Eve everywhere else. A bunch of amateurs, and I say, screw them, forget it. You don't need them. No, you want to make people happy. And 10 Palms makes a lot of people happy. I was really encouraged today on the Let's Eat group, a guy that is not part of the contest. I don't know if he watches the Lunchbox show, but just he put up a thing at how he went to 10 Palms over the weekend, and he was really pleasantly surprised and how he loved it. And I sent that screenshot to Joe, and I said, you guys are getting it done. You get people who are now getting in there for the first time and realizing it's a great place to go. Not only if you're a horse racing fan, but it's a great option for a Sunday brunch for an unlimited brunch buffet. You can't beat the price, $50 plus tax and tip. So again, for Mother's Day, they are doing an enhanced buffet. I think it's was it $65 for Mother's Day? 75. I think it was 75 for the Derby, 65 for Mother's Day, one or the other. But in any event, we give away every week a pair of brunch buffet passes. And you know what? It was so easy this morning. I didn't have to spend time writing little names on slips and gathering them up and putting them in a hat. You know why, Defo?
Only one person won. And it was a tiebreaker, which was remarkable that he got
this. Was a real feat.
I thought that was an example of your inhumane treatment of the viewers and listeners to the program. But turned out to be very, very fortuitous.
They always shock and surprise me in a good way, the way they are able to get it done. And all right, so this was no easy test because the Gulfstream race itself, there were 3 components. And this guy had a near perfect ticket. He got the Gulfstream race winner. He got the Kentucky Derby winner, 8-8, 8-1 at Gulfstream, 8-1 at Churchill Downs. But you know what? He misspelled Rocco's Tacos, but I'm still going to let him win because that's an impressive feat. Ronnie Kaplan, you are the winner this week.
Nice
and
job.
Not only that, but you got Rocco's Tacos was our Cinco de Mayo, the answer to the restaurant question. And then Swan Lake, almost 10-1 shot. He paid it was about $21 for a deuce. Again, Swan Lake, number 8, won the feature race at Gulfstream. That was the contest race, the English Channel Stakes. He beat a pretty well-regarded favorite. And then he had Mage in the Kentucky Derby, number 8, 17-1 shot. So 8 and 8 is great. Only 3 other people had the Gulfstream contest winner, the race winner 8 Swan Lake, including our friends Joanne and Bonnie DePacio. Bonnie, I hope I don't know if you're back yet from North Carolina.
She's back tomorrow, she said.
Okay, well she would have been in the hat except for the guy got Mage right, and then also a 4th guy. Guy who was a clue in one of our contests, Mark Shotwell, retired Fort Lauderdale police detective. He also got the number 8 horse at Gulfstream, but it seemed like a lot of the those other ones got the wrong horse in the Derby. A lot of people picked Forte, and they reverted to the post-time favorite, which turned out to be, I think it was Angel of Empire, right? Or was it Tapit Trice? But it doesn't matter because neither one of them won. So again, Ronnie Kaplan, job well done. Perfect ticket this week on some long shots. Very hard play.
Amazing.
So congrats to him. And you know what? We got to take our final break, and then I'll eat the second nut, and we'll actually talk about the talking topic of the week, Defo. The dreaded water charge, water fee, $1 for water.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
that caused a big stir, but I will explain more after we talk about our friends at Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market. We're going to be out there later in the month. This time it's going to be Thursday, May 25th, and I've already been in touch. Jose's going to be gone on a little bit of a European vacation, well deserved.
jealous.
But we're going to be joined by the folks from Braveheart Beef again this time. Well, not Braveheart Beef, from the Performance Foods. And this time they're going to be spotlighting some of their other summer proteins, things like ribs and pork tenderloin and other products that you could throw on the grill during the summer season. So, again, you can get everything that you need for family cookouts, picnics, Derby watch parties, that's over with, or any kind of playoff watch parties. Mother's Day coming up. You get the fish, the seafood, the poultry, the steaks, the grab and go items, the fish dips. It's all there at Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market, 4191 the North State Road 7 in Hollywood, Florida, just across from the old Seminole Classic Casino. They've got great stuff, and of course, they know how to take great care of you, because Doug Carter and his crew, they've been there since the 1960s, Again, people have been going there for decades, like myself. Finest in quality, selection, and value at Delaware. You want to go into their website at delawarechicken.com for their weekly specials, and along with their daily catch, daily offerings. You can find it online every day. Better yet, go into the store yourself and check out all the beautiful display cases of the fish, the seafood, the shrimp, the clams, the crabs, the poultry, the turkeys, and the beef. And we're going to be featuring pork later in the month. Tell them that the Lunchbox sent you, Delaware Chicken and Seafood Market.
All right, we'll put a ribbon on this edition of Lunchbox in a moment.
Looking for a great place for steaks, seafood, and more? Go to Tropical Acres Steakhouse and Butcher Shop. It's at 2500 Griffin Road in Dania, just west of I-95 and the airport. They've been there a long time, since 1949. That means they're doing something right. You'll get old school hospitality from the Studiali family, along with great value, tremendous service. Of course, you could also go into the bar for happy hour every day, 4 to 6. The early bird special runs from 4:30 to 5:30, and they have great value all night long. Also, a butcher shop that's open every day from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. except Sunday. The dining room is open every day at 4:30 except Sunday. Go to Tropical Acres. Tell them the Lunchbox sent you. Hey, it's Mike Mayo. When the Brooklyn boy in me wants a good bagel with Nova or some matzo ball soup, homemade knishes, or a great deli pastrami sandwich on rye, you know where I go? Grandpa's Cafe in Dania Beach. It's been around a long time, an institution, but a little over a year ago, a pair of New Yorkers came in, bought it, and refurbished the place. It's beautiful, and they are now serving great breakfast, brunch, lunch. They've got the omelets. They've got eggs Benedict. They've got all kinds of great baked goods like rugelach. Grandpa's is just off Federal Highway on Southwest 1st Street in Dania Beach. It's open 7 days. Go in there, tell them that the Lunchbox sent you. When I'm looking for some wicked good food for a wicked good lunch, there's only one place to go. That's Wicked Cheesesteaks in Fort Lauderdale. It's at 4824 North Federal Highway, just south of Commercial Boulevard and across from Holy Cross Hospital. My friend Brian there, he will hook you up with some really tasty treats. They've got cheesesteaks, just like the best you can find in Philly, along with lobster rolls, because that's where he's from, Maine originally, and they have wings and pizza and everything you want to have a really good time. Wicked Cheesesteaks, they're open every day but Tuesday. Go in there on a Wednesday. They got buy one, get one on cheesesteaks from 5 to 8 p.m. Check them out online, wickedcheesesteaks.com. Tell them the Lunchbox sent you. Back on the Lunchbox, post Derby and I guess post and pre-playoff weekend. We got the Heat Knicks going tonight. The Panthers are going to try to close out the Leafs. Is it tomorrow night? Wednesday. Thank you. And just a couple of notes. We're going to be going on the road later this week. Our friends Wade and Reese at the Pizza Spot. We haven't been there in a while since our big Sauce Fest. Wednesday. How's that look for you, Defo? Get ready.
It's gonna be there. Yeah, I want that veggie pie. I've been craving one.
Defo's been asking about the pizza more than you and I.
I was out there yesterday because I was jonesing for their plain, like kind of just the tomato with a little grated Parmesan, not even mozzarella. I love that pie so much now because it's not as heavy and as spicy as some of the other ones that I've been in love with the past, and it's just like a perfect just for one person. I get a small one. I usually eat half in one sitting and then eat another half, kind of like with my nut here, except it's a full tomato pie. But we're going to be at the Pizza Spot in Fort Lauderdale on Wednesday. And just a couple of notes about them. Wade, he's very particular now about his dough, and he closes every afternoon now. They have a little siesta time so that he could properly maintain and proof his dough from 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Don't show up there because he won't open the window. He won't sell you any pizzas. He is busy. It's like the horse whisperer is our friend Caton. Wade is the dough whisperer, and he needs that time to get his dough in perfect shape. And it really is good because I had it yesterday. It was great. So again, Pizza Spot takes a little midday break from 2 to 3:30 when they're open. They're closed on Mondays, and they're also going to be taking their quarterly break from Memorial Day, May 28th through June 5th. They'll be back on June 6th. So that's the notes about them. Let me eat my second half of the nut, and then we'll conclude the show with, let me just throw the question out to you. So our friends at the Catherine, they do a great job, but there was a post on Let's Eat that hit the group on Saturday morning. A guy who apparently enjoyed his meal and liked the menu, and they do a good job in terms of value. They don't have ridiculously priced entrees and things like dishes that you could split in the teens and 20s, and I think they have a steak dish in the $30 range.
You would expect it to be more money. I'm not gonna lie.
It's really high quality food and a eclectic menu and really high quality ingredients. So the guy's post began with, he was disappointed, like even though he liked the food, because it was his birthday and they didn't have a candle for his birthday dessert. And then he goes into, and then they charge for bread. I didn't even realize they had bread or offered a bread service, because a lot of the dishes come with pieces of breads as part of the dish, because it's Zach the Baker bread. It's some high quality stuff. Zach Stern down in Miami, and his bakery is up for a James Beard Award finalist. They made it to one of the 3 finalists in the best bakery in the whole US of A. And that's the bread they're using there at the Catherine. So it's not like this schlock stuff they could just throw out in baskets, and it's kind of high price. So if you go in there and you ask for bread, they're going to maybe charge you $2 for a bread plate. But the thing that really got them is they at the Catherine, they have this water filtration system. It's called the Vero machine, and it has high quality filtered water, which is better than Fort Lauderdale's not so finest, if you followed anything about the news and Fort Lauderdale's water situation. So they have this high tech filtration system that takes the water and purifies it, and then it gives you either regular still or sparkling water. And for all this, they charge $1 per person. So the guy flipped out, and it set off this spree of people who just think it's disqualifying. They would never set foot in a restaurant that charges for water, whether it's
they do that all over the place over there. You don't even know what you're paying for half the time. I mean, the prices are so cheap that you don't care, but I don't know. It's funny, when I went there, I won't lie, I am a weirdo. I've been conditioned and spoiled to get free water. But I also have learned, like, when they put it in these nice bottles and they do a whole thing with it, you may pay. I don't know. I maybe being around you, Defo, people who eat, my wife, when you're in a place that feels nicer, I have learned to assume some costs that I normally wouldn't expect at a franchise. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. It boggles my mind, some of the stuff that people look. You can complain about it, fine, but to like lose it over, I'm never going again. You're gonna miss out on a great meal, because the Catherine does a really good job.
Defo, what do you think of?
I mean, people aren't expecting to be charged for water. I mean, certain places though, they'll bring out some fancy bottle of water. They always ask the question. I actually put this up on my Facebook page in reference to restaurants, and people misinterpreted what I was saying. And that is, the question is always, bottled water or tap. So I always opt for tap because I don't feel like paying for water. And I don't want to know what the cost of their bottled water is. If it's like $5, fine. If it's 25, I don't care, because I'm going to drink the tap water. So, being unaccustomed to seeing a charge automatically placed for water, which you think is coming from a tap, I'm not, appalled by the fact that the guy was surprised that it would, force him to discontinue ever going to a place that he really liked. That seems a little bit harsh for the buck that had to come out of his pocket. He could have thrown in a subscription to the Sun Sentinel online, and then it would have been worth it.
So, this points to something that, first of all, I think we need to kind of change. And I think a lot of it is generational, that people from a certain age just expect water to be part and parcel of a restaurant meal. I also think it's time to raise awareness that water is a resource that is precious and is going to become more and more, it's a dwindling thing. And even in, South Florida, where we're surrounded by water, the whole way we get water, the desalinization, the saltwater intrusion. I just think, and that's getting a little high-minded. The question is, they started off at the Catherine, Marissa and Timon, by just offering regular tap water for nothing, and also having those fancy Evian bottles and San Pellegrino for $8 a bottle. And, obviously nobody, like you said, Defo, you don't want to spend $5 or $8 for a bottle of the fancy water that's coming and being shipped across the seas and oceans, and that's not very eco-friendly to begin with. They also necessarily don't want to serve water that's bad. And I think Fort Lauderdale tap water is not the greatest. So they had this idea of get a good filtration system that gives cold, still, and sparkling water. and charge people $1 for it. And hopefully people would realize, like, okay, it's a good system and it's good tasting water. I was happy with that. I'm not okay. I mean, I have no resistance to it, especially since it's reasonably priced elsewhere. But I think the consensus is people would rather be clobbered over the head and have them raise the price of every other dish by $1 and not see the water fee. And again, they print on the menu that they charge $1 per person for your choice of the sparkling or still
I was going to
filtered
say,
water.
did they tell you? Because as
Yeah.
long as they tell you, to me, that's your choice. I don't.
And even I think the servers say, "Oh, do you want sparkling or still?" And I don't know if they say, "Well," and it's $1 per person, and they don't offer any free tap water. What the other thing I think is that if you are getting a beverage that you're paying for, like wine or beer,
Throw in the rock.
that the filtered water should come, at no extra charge, because you're already putting some money into the till
Yeah.
with the, by buying some of the revenue producing beverages. So that was my restaurant consulting solution, is like, just charge the $1 for people who only want water. But if you're getting beer or wine or something else, then you'll waive the $1 charge. What do you think of that one, Defo? Could you live with
Sounds
that?
reasonable. Yeah.
Sounds reasonable. It means it has no shot of taking hold on Let's Eat South Florida. People just love to hear themselves argue. But Tim and Marissa, keep doing what you're doing. Don't pay attention to the snipers. It's like a wise man once said, don't pay attention to the reviews, pay attention to your register. So if the seats are filled every night and people are coming in and they give great hospitality and great food, so I'm on your side. I'll pay the $1. But, then again, I'm a guy who just like throws away $30 Exacta boxes like they're toilet paper at this point. So. Defo, Lubie was welcome to our world because he got split in the Exacta. He had 2 out of 3, and me and you, we both crushed it, my friend. So let's raise a glass.
I'm just annoyed that no one told me about the Phils. You all condemned the Phils.
Phil Morrow. I was telling you, Phil, who runs the Visit Lauderdale Food and Wine Festival. His dad is named Phil. He was all over 2 Phils. I looked at him. I thought he's a plodding, useful type that was going to maybe hit the board but not win the race. But I got so involved with all these picked 4s and things that I was alive in with the Oaks Derby double. I didn't even play the race with trifectas. I could have probably nailed it because I would have had Mage and 2 Phils, and I did, Angel of Empire was logical. Defo, you had it all, right? Exactas, trifectas.
I have my Lamentum, but maybe we'll go into it another day when we have another show.
Oh, what do you? Is it Parks? What's running today? We got
there's a lot of stuff going on, but
you're not ready for the show to expand
program.
75 minutes.
Not yet. Not the way I'm more sponsored.
As soon as we get a couple more of those on board, we might have to.
Yeah. All right. That'll be fine. That'll be worth it.
We'll do more food tomorrow, Joanne.
I love stretching it out. All right, guys, have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow back here in the man caves, and then Wednesday will be a pizza spot. For now, everybody enjoy every peanut, every cashew, and enjoy every sandwich.